Hello, and thanks for stopping by. Terrible scenes are still appearing hourly from that desperate but brave country of Ukraine. Putin has failed in his objective of a swift and bloodless annexation. Instead, he has galvanized a nation into ferocious resistance, united a bickering Europe, and even alarmed Finland and Sweden sufficiently to now favour abandoning their decades-old neutrality. The West's response has shocked Putin and his cronies. He has badly miscalculated. Indeed, he was so sure of himself that he didn't even bother to consult with his own cabinet, apparently. Instead, he has sown the seeds of his own downfall. Even his own secret service, the FSB, is publishing reports saying they can't win this war. At home, some 15,000 Russians have been brutally beaten and arrested for protesting against the war. I've seen clips of a former Russian police chief who tore up his identity and his pension cards and joined the Ukrainian resistance against the Russian army. Large numbers of Russian troops are just abandoning their equipment because they were lied to about this so-called special operation.
Кто, какая часть, зачем пришел?
25-я бригада, войсковая часть 75, 242, 75-242, войсковая часть, 25-я бригада.
Зачем прибыл? С какой целью? Кто послал?
Прибыли мы на учение. Нас тут обманули маленько. Ну, так вот оказалось, что теперь я здесь.
Many others are only there because of the threat of 7 years of jail if they leave. If the Ukrainian figures of 12,000 Russian military dead are even half right, Putin has a lot of angry babushkas to calm down. How has this catastrophe come about? Vlad the Bad had a dream. He dreamt that he was the man to revive the empire he grew up in. Instead of recreating the communist bloc, he would appeal to Russian nationalist fervour. The Russians didn't much like communism at the end of the USSR, but since then they've not much liked being a minor power either. Vlad tapped into that. After all, communist ideology is not much different to fascist thinking. Both command the economy and both seek to control dissent, usually violently. Both are a cancer in society. After his successes in Georgia and Crimea, his own propaganda convinced him he really was a strongman and a military genius. Sounds familiar? Just look at history, and also a little further east. Adolf and Xi Jinping, the similarities between the three outweigh any minor differences. Trust me, Xi Jinping is watching this war unfold very carefully. So are various currently Chinese-occupied peoples. The West's response to the war is also being analysed by all. Sanctions. Probably the most comprehensive sanctions ever put in place. Remarkable, really, how both government and private companies have weighed in with them. Could it be that the globalist companies are alarmed at a nationalist war? How will this end? That's tough. Military experts generally believe that Ukraine cannot win. They may be right, but I also believe that Russia cannot either. Even if they occupy all the major cities, they face a guerrilla campaign for years ahead. Indeed, it looks increasingly unlikely that they can even do that. The Ukrainians do not look like people who will just give up, and it is fast becoming a cause célèbre in the way the Spanish Civil War was. Pro-Ukrainian volunteers arriving from as far afield as Japan and Thailand, as well as the USA, Canada, and most of the European countries. Will it spread to the rest of Europe? Possibly, but Vlad has destroyed so much of his economy and probably done irreparable damage to his military manufacturing capabilities that he couldn't sustain a fight for very long anyway. He also seems to have lost more equipment than many NATO members have in total, and it seems to be significantly inferior to the image that we had of it. A war of attrition is right now degrading his armed forces faster than he can replace them. Expanding into Europe would be foolish beyond measure. I sincerely believe most of the Russian leadership would turn on him. They don't want that either. Maybe this is the opportunity, at the end of the fighting, to ensure a properly constituted and genuinely democratic Russia, and then maybe invite them into NATO along with Ukraine, Finland and Sweden. Because communist China is probably going to be the next place to try it on. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy what I do, please think about leaving a comment, a like, or better still, a sub. Till the next time, Stay safe, and thanks for listening.